It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Welcome to Confidence in Bloom, the podcast where we explore what it really means to grow in confidence, not by becoming someone else, but by coming home to who you truly are. Excuse me, I'm your host, Tina Spoletini, and today's conversation is one I think so many women will relate to. We're talking about finding your voice, setting healthy boundaries, and standing firm in what matters most. For many of us, speaking up doesn't come naturally. We worry about disappointing people, creating conflict, or being misunderstood. But confidence isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about trusting yourself enough to use your voice with courage and kindness. Joining me today is Rebecca Connolly, founder of Rebecca's Feast Personal Chef Service. For nearly 20 years, Rebecca has been helping busy families enjoy customized, stress-free meals while creating meaningful moments around the dinner table. She's also an educator and mentor, helping aspiring personal chefs build businesses they love. And she's a contributing author to the upcoming book, The Power of Her. Rebecca, welcome to Confidence in Bloom. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to this. So as I was telling you before, I don't like cooking. I don't enjoy it. I don't like being in the kitchen for any amount of time. Like, I love being at the table. I love to eat.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
but
that's awesome
being
to
in
hear.
the kitchen it's just not my forte. So I know that you're going to motivate me, maybe give me a little bit of inspiration, or give me some really good ideas. Maybe, hint at, maybe we're going to get a chef one day. Well, wouldn't that be nice?
There's always that option too.
Right,
I bet you could find somebody for you up there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now you spend your days bringing people together around the table. Food nourishes us physically, but it also is a connection and nourishes us emotionally. What have you learned about the power of conversation and truly being heard?
Power of conversation and truly being heard. Well, for me as a personal chef, what I'm listening for in my clients is I'm listening for what they enjoy. What flavors they keep coming back to the table for, what kinds of foods, what kinds of preparations, what is easy for them, what fits their lifestyle, because not everything works for everyone and not all flavors work for everyone. And what's going to bring people back around their own table is the food that fits their story, the foods they grew up with, the flavors they grew up with, things that remind them of happy times, right? That's why we all love holiday food. So those are kind of all the clues that I'm looking for when I think about gathering, my clients gathering around their own tables, and even for my own family gathering around our table as well, because our family menu looks vastly different than what it might look like for one of my own clients.
Right. I guess that's one of the bonuses. You get to learn, well, number one, how the different cultures eat, right? Mm-hmm. How the family dynamic creates their menu, mm-hmm. right? Because we live in a world where everyone seems to have their specific needs, right? If it's not like a medical condition, it's a flavor thing, right? Like I don't like that flavor. And kids they're notorious for that, right? Kids don't like food, right? They eat.
We've got to have patience and keep introducing. Never give up with kids. Never give up.
Yeah. Keep introducing.
But don't fight about it either.
Right. So I have, of my 3 kids, I have 2 boys and a girl. My daughter will eat almost anything.
That's
like
wonderful.
She is not picky at all, but she doesn't like meat. And she one thing that I always really loved about her was she knew when she'd had enough.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Whereas
so
me,
fantastic.
yeah,
Yes.
me and my
Yeah.
youngest, we were like, like shovels. We just kept bringing it all
Right.
in because there was all this
Right.
good food in front of us. But
Right. And you
her,
don't want to miss any of it. Yeah.
right. And her
Yeah.
and her twin brother were always like, no, I've had
Right.
enough.
Oh,
And he's picky. It's really funny. They're twins. He's super picky,
yeah.
right? She's not
Interesting.
picky, but
So
they
interesting.
know when they've had enough,
Right.
right? And I'm
Right. Yeah.
sure like you
Just
see that.
intuitively. That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I wish I had that. I wish I had just a little bit more of
It's
that.
and you can get there. You can, it's a learned habit. It is a learned
Yes.
habit. I actually have a whole workshop on intuitive eating. So if you're ever interested,
Oh,
I'm happy to point that in your direction.
that
Yeah.
is super good to know. I have been working on intuitive eating for myself for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And I
Yeah.
have really noticed a big difference. I
That's
know now when I'm full. Like I'm
yes.
like, okay,
Yes.
I've had
That's
enough.
great.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. And it's often before you think you're going to be, especially, well, we're so busy, right? We're
Yeah.
so used to eating on the run or grabbing it on the way out the door, or so really trying to protect that dining time, even if it's just breakfast and lunch. We always talk about dinner, right? And then we forget about breakfast and lunch.
Yeah. But
Anytime.
truthfully,
Yeah.
right, breakfast and lunch are the most important
Mhm.
meals, right? Like
Yes,
your
because you're setting
digestive
up your
system
day.
starts to
Yes.
slow down after lunch.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. And that first meal of the day really sets your blood sugar. So if you have conditions that it doesn't have to be diabetes, even with autoimmune conditions, Hashimoto's, whatever, setting that blood sugar so that it's steady at the beginning of the day, not having that coffee with even the stevia, I have to remind myself, having that first thing in the day is not what, you want to hit your empty stomach with.
Right, right. So
So
you
yeah,
sound
blood
like not just a
sugar.
chef, you sound like a dietitian already. And we're only
Not
one
quite.
question.
Culinary nutrition. I am a certified nutritionist. I do not, I'm not an RD, so I can't prescribe or diagnose, but I certainly do educate and support. I teach cooking classes in person, and I also have a number of selections of online courses that I've put together for
I love
clients.
that. I love that. Because so this is now, I don't know. I mean, I can speak for myself, I guess, but I would have loved when my kids were young and I was a stay-at-home mom, but I
Mhm.
still hated the cooking. I did it. Like we didn't go to the drive-through. We didn't do any of that stuff. Like
Right, right.
I did all the cooking, but
Yeah,
man, it took a lot of my energy. It
it
like,
does. It
when you
does. And I think,
enjoy something, it's one
yeah.
thing, but when you don't enjoy it, it's work.
Well, and I think part of not enjoying it is the day in and day out, especially when you're home all the time too, because I did my stay at home time as well with my kids, especially when they were little. And I was mostly stay at home. The joy of personal chefing is that it's been a flexible business model for me. So during the seasons of the kids growing up, I could pick and choose. Uh, I was fortunate to be able to do that. But I think part of the drudgery of getting into the kitchen, if I can call it that, is that it's just always something, it's the day in and day out. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, rinse and repeat the same thing over and over again. And we kind of it's almost like PTSD, right? It's like, oh my gosh. And then you fix something, people love it, or you fix something and it sits there at the table and everybody's still hungry afterwards. And then you're kind of left with, it's hard to not take that personally when you're the one that's feeding everyone. And then it just
Right.
becomes almost a vicious cycle of, I don't want to do this anymore.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
I
Get
that
it.
yeah, that's it's like you're speaking to me because that's exactly what happened, right? Like
Mhm.
I felt like, my God, I spend more time in the kitchen than I do anywhere else in my life.
Right. Yeah, we
Right?
do. We
Yeah.
do. Yeah. It is it's more than doing the laundry. Even if you're
Right.
doing laundry for a large family every day, you're still in the kitchen more. So that
Yeah.
is part of what I try to, through my courses, through my membership, through my the lives that I do every week, I try to encourage busy moms. I try to encourage anyone who's listening to take a step back from their menu planning because we get into this, sort of this almost a cycle of, okay, I need to find a new recipe. I need to find a new something, maybe new health needs crop up, or, your kids are going through a growth spurt, and there's always something different, right? Almost week to week, depending on your season. And what I had to finally do for my own family was take a step back and try to think as if I was a personal chef for my family, and take a deep breath, really, really a big, very big deep breath, so I could step away from taking it personally, right? And kind of look at everything and go, okay, what is it that we're enjoying? Because my son and my daughter both have vastly different taste buds, and as it turns out, they have vastly different health needs too, which their taste buds were pointing us towards unbeknownst to us. So I had to take a step back, and my husband and I enjoy all these global cuisines and foods. Our first date was at an Indian restaurant, with chicken tikka and mango lassi and all the good things. And but introducing our kids to those, we were just like, oh, this is not going the way that we planned it to go. It's taking a little more effort. So I had to really take a step back and flavor profile my own family, and to really be honest about what is it that we're eating, and where can I go next with what I know, and not just try to, force feed almost all of these dishes that I thought that we should be eating, that that even if they were nutritious, we should be eating more of this ingredient. Well, but if you're buying it and fixing it and nobody's eating it, then that's just wasted time, money, and effort, right? You got to take a step back and say, okay, this is the state of things, and then recognize this is where I want to go, and then try to get yourself there step by step, right? And not
Right.
fight the aversions. That's the big one. If something is on a scale of 1 to 10, if there are ingredients or tastes that are like a 1 or 2 on a scale of 1 to 10, don't mess with it.
Right.
There's a reason that aversion is there. And, maybe later in life, I hated mushrooms until I was, I don't know, probably late teens. My mom loved to put mushrooms in spaghetti sauce. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so gross. Why are you doing that? Thankfully, they were big enough chunks I could pick them out, like pieces of onion and mushroom. Now I'm like, I'll put onion and mushroom in absolutely everything.
It's
So,
funny how we change, right?
yeah, you
Yeah.
do. You do. And I've seen it in my own kids now that they're in college. My son, who was, the classic, by the time he was 5, it was chicken nuggets, peanut butter sandwiches, cracker. I mean, he was so basic. I was pulling my hair out. And meanwhile, my daughter was eating mustard and pickles and all kinds of, tangy, pungent things. But by the time he got to college, he's trying new things at the cafeteria, and now that he's in his own apartment, he's cooking interesting things for himself. He spent a month in Japan. I mean, and it's just kind of all,
Wow.
whew. I was just
Well,
like, oh, thank goodness he's, enjoying a little bit more
yeah. And
flavor.
there's hope,
Um,
right?
yes,
And
yes,
the thing
there's
is when
always
they
hope. There's
right.
always
And when they have to learn on their own and they try different things, right?
hope.
It's really good for their, I mean, there's going to be things that, okay, this I will not make again,
Right.
right? But then there's
Absolutely.
also
Always.
those ones that, this is almost good, but if I added this, slowly they get to that point
Yes.
where they can, oh yeah,
Yes.
if I add this, I'll taste a little bit more of that. So
Right.
that's really good. That's
Exactly.
encouraging.
It is. It is. And I just started cooking for a young family this past week who has a 3-year-old, and they've just been kind of despairing. All she wants is pasta, plain pasta. And they love Southeast Asian flavors, all kinds of sweet and tart and tangy and spicy and heat and all of that. And they're just like, plain pasta. What are we going to do? I'm like, don't worry. Just keep exposing, just keep putting it on the table, keep offering, keep giving the example, and don't pressure, don't fight about it. It's not worth fighting at the table over it. As long as she's nourished, even if it's just plain pasta, then eventually, because she's
Eventually
been around it.
she'll
Yes,
get a little bit
yes,
courageous. Yeah, I
yes,
love that. I love
exactly,
that. So
exactly.
this month here on Confidence of Bloom, we're talking
Yeah.
about picking up and standing firm. I'd
Ah,
like to know, in
great.
your life or in your business, was there a moment where, or like when you realized you needed to stop shrinking yourself and
Mhm.
start really trusting in your own voice?
hmm I can name two particular instances in my business. I've been cooking professionally since 2007, so I have many instances of coming to mind. But I think the first one was when I realized both instances revolve around worth and self-worth, and I think that's something that we as women struggle with. in
Mm-hmm.
particular, if I can say. And for some reason, those of us who have been at home with our kids, when we enter the workplace again, I think we kind of have that a little bit of imposter syndrome and a little bit of, oh, I've just been at home. Oh, no, honey, you've been at home doing all the things. You've been organizing, coordinating. I mean, we have a laundry list, right? So, one of the first instances was maybe in my first or second year of cooking when I had the realization that I was the expert. I was the professional. I wasn't just a self-taught home cook coming into someone's home. I was the one who was making the professional recommendations, This is they're bringing me their food problems, their dinner problems, and I as a professional with my experience, I can say this is what I recommend. I recommend we start with this many meals. I recommend these portion sizes for you. Given if you have kids or not kids or single or retired, here's what I recommend for your meals, given what you like, given what you don't like. So even just that act of sending the menu selection before a cook date every time for me became a you know a moment of confidence. I have to be confident every time I send a menu selection that this is going to meet their needs. And it won't be perfect every time, certainly, but every time they choose off a menu selection, that gives me more information to work with, right?
For sure. For
So,
sure.
so definitely with, with that, with the menu planning, with what I'm offering. And then a second instance of confidence that I can pinpoint was just in the past year, really. I've had a difficult health year. And I haven't shared all of it online, and I will eventually. I'm still sort of coming out of it and getting myself a little bit together, right? Perimenopause hits us all a little bit differently. But I had a realization in the middle of things. I was like, you know what? I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And because I've been doing it for almost 20 years successfully, most of my clients I've had for over 10 years. Can you believe it?
Wow.
And they come back, and even ones who that I might have for regular service come back for special events and parties. And I just did a high school graduation party for a longtime client, and it was so amazing to see their daughter graduate and
Love
be part of
that.
that family celebration and get to make that moment memorable for them with their food and the table decorations and whatnot. But I came to the realization that, you know what, I can teach others to do this too because I've been doing it for over almost 20 years. I have things that I can say about it. I can teach others to also have this wonderful gift of being a personal chef for other families. It's a flexible business model. It works with, your lifestyle. It can be as highly profitable as you want it to be. You can grow it in so many different directions. There's a creative aspect to it. So, adding that coaching aspect or the mentoring aspect to my business was a big moment of confidence for me.
I love that. I love that. And sometimes, it takes you hearing your words coming out of your mouth to realize that, oh
Mm.
my gosh, I'm actually speaking from experience. I'm speaking from what I have been living.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Oh, I
yeah.
love
I
that.
think so many times we don't give ourselves enough. We don't give ourselves enough credit for everything that we've lived and experienced and gone through, and all of it can help others.
Right. And I mean, we know this, right? Like there's so many times where we think that we don't know, we don't know how to solve a problem, even though we've already gone through it. Right. But
Hmm.
everyone words
Right.
their issues in their own words.
Yeah.
And sometimes we
Yeah.
don't relate until after, like, oh yeah, I went through that.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Now we kind of talked about, women and, feeling unworthy. And like you said, it's pretty common, right?
Hmm.
Especially when we're entering back into the workforce after being at home with, raising
Hmm.
kids.
Right.
Um, a lot of times women struggle with like boundaries, right? Because they
Ah,
don't want to disappoint. They don't want
yes.
to like let anyone down. They don't want to seem like they got
Right.
the big head.
Yes.
How would you say
Yes.
boundaries have actually allowed you to serve people better rather than less?
Ah, yes, I know moms, we want to do it all, right? We want to do it all for our kids, and that transfers into wanting to do it all for our clients anytime. Well, for me, being able to put boundaries on services, on my time gives me the freedom to focus better on what it is that I'm present in or working on at the moment, right? So I'm not distracted by um, something that might not be today, it might be tomorrow, next week. Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily time block. That's a great technique for staying focused and protecting your time. But I can definitely feel more comfortable now. And, this again, this is something I had to grow into. But saying to, say, a potential client who wants to get on a call, saying to them, okay, here's my booking link. Pick a time that works for you. And if there isn't one, then we can figure something out. But even just the act of making time available on a calendar and blocking things out, whew, that gave me a little bit of anxiety to begin with, right? Because then you're like, oh my gosh, but if they don't book, then maybe I'm not going to get a client. And then, and I kind of really want the client and I want to be able to make them happy. But at the same time, but you're also teaching your future clients how to respect your time and your boundaries. So
And yourself.
this is my process, right? This is my
Yeah.
process, and this is how I make it work best so that I can give everyone the time that they deserve
Right.
without being overwhelmed and without burning myself out, which is also
Right.
really important.
Right. And it kind of goes both ways. Your time is precious, but so is your
But
client.
exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, right. And I want to be able to, give time to my family as well, and give time to now we're college nesters, as I've now heard the term, right? Your kids are in college, coming back and forth, so you kind of go between full-time parent when they're home, and then then you just wait for the phone calls when they're not at home, which is
Right.
a
Right.
whole different aspect
Mom,
of
can you
it.
send $50? Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Oh
That's
my
too
goodness.
funny.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, enjoy that. Enjoy that because I don't know. I mean, my kids, my two older ones
Yeah,
have
how
moved
old
out.
are yours again? Yeah.
So they're going to be 25 this September,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Yeah. So
Now
you're a little ahead of me.
yeah, she's been out for quite a while now, but he
Hmm.
just moved out. It'll be a year in September, and
Hmm.
it's a weird feeling. When she moved out, I was looking for
Oh,
every reason for her to come
yeah.
sleep over. Right?
Oh,
Christmas, your
yes, of
grandparents are here. Why
course.
don't you come spend the night? It was hot in her house, so come.
Right.
We have
Right.
AC. Come stay. I was
Yeah.
looking for every excuse. Now that they're both gone, I'm like, stay out.
Do it.
Right?
Come
I
over
do
for
have
dinner and then go home.
Right, right, exactly. I do have a young
That's
one
awesome.
still at home, but he's working full time. I hardly ever see him, right? So
Right.
I
Oh,
kind of
goodness.
feel like, I mean, I'm not empty nested yet because I still have to focus on
Right.
when he'll be home, but I
Right.
get the feeling now I'm at a point in my life where I look forward to that, right?
Mhm.
I
Yes.
didn't
Yes.
5 years ago. Five
And
years
it's
ago, I
okay.
just wasn't ready.
Yes, yes, I agree. It's hard to make that adjustment. But then once you're on the other side, it was heartbreaking when my son went to college and he only went 45 minutes away and then he was home every weekend during
Oh,
college.
wow.
So, but it was just, I felt like my heart was being pulled out of my chest just
I
because, and my daughter too, when she went to college 2 years ago, we drove her halfway across the country. And I remember leaving her outside her dorm and driving away. And I was so upset. I just had to drive all the way back to Oklahoma in one shot. I didn't want to stop and stay in a hotel room by
Yeah, I
myself.
couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine. I just, when they were growing up, I prepared them.
Mhm.
I taught the basics of
Yes,
cooking. I taught them the
I know
basics
you
of
did.
cleaning, right?
Hmm.
And to me, I was like, if they go away to university, they have to know the basics, right?
Absolutely.
But when
Yes.
that
Yes, I
graduation
agree.
was coming, that high school
Yeah,
graduation, I was like, oh,
right.
I hope they
Wait a
don't go away.
minute. They do come back. Moral of the story, they do come
They
back.
do
And
come
you
back,
also
exactly.
do start to enjoy your having your time back to yourself, really.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. And after 20 years, you forgot what that's like.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
it's been an adjustment, but
Yeah.
yeah, no. My husband and I are looking forward to the school year beginning, once again.
Excellent. I love that for you. So, as someone who mentors
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, what do
Mhm.
you see holding women back from advocating for themselves? Like maybe it's
Uh,
pricing their services, saying no,
yeah.
or even just asking. We all know asking for help is not easy for women.
Right, Right. It isn't, but I think it's also the best shortcut when to starting something successfully and off on the right foot and with support. When I thought about starting a personal chef service for 6 years before I started. A friend of mine introduced me to the idea. I did a few stages, those unpaid internships at restaurants back when I was teaching over the summers. My friend set me up with some, and we were living in Boston at that point. But then, the idea of personal chefing was becoming a thing. So a personal chef works for multiple families, is not a private chef who's employed by a single family full time, right? And is there all day doing breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the things. I work for multiple families as an independent contractor. So my business model is a little bit different than just being employed by one family. That would be the difference. And but it took me 6 years, and I was a philosophy major in college and
Oh,
grad
wow.
school. So, I avoided the business building like the plague. I mean, I had good friends that did business, but that was not me. I was the teacher, I was the philosopher. So, when it came to setting up even a simple business model, a service business like a personal chef service, I was like, I've got to get this right the first time around. So, I found an association, Personal Chefs Network, here in the US, and I called the founder and I was like, all right, talk to me. What am I going to get if I join this organization, right? What kind of help and support is available? And it was fantastic. I joined, I got two huge binders of tried and true recipes that would work for personal chefing, right? Because you're not serving the dish fresh usually. You are packaging it and storing it, even just for reheating later. Sometimes it's going in the freezer. So there's a different component to cooling and packaging and store. So all of that was in the binders, and the basics of the business as well. Particular information, that would be particular to states like tax laws and that sort of thing. It was
Mm.
always recommended. You have to find your own resources for that. But the basics of the business were there, plus access to a number of working personal chefs who had come from the restaurant industry, come from private chefing to do personal chefing, come from catering. I spent like 2.5 months reading through the forums, staying up late, asking all the questions. I had no idea about marketing. I had no idea about, pricing, all of that. So I had this, that was one way of go get the support that you need for whatever it is that you're, and don't be afraid to ask the questions, because really there is no silly question when it comes to trying to set something up like this. And thankfully, this was an organization of chefs that were very supportive, very encouraging, and we're always, we still have each other's backs, which is amazing. So I would say for women wanting to be entrepreneurs, go find the support that you're looking for, because we want to support each other. There, we don't want to be in competition with each other. We want to hold each other up. And what was
I
the
love
what
that advice. That's like really awesome advice. Women need to stand together, not compete.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, I am part of a fabulous book collaboration. The book is launching next Friday in just a week on July 31st. If I can mention it, if that's okay. But
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
a fabulous book collaboration all about, and it's called The Power of Her, Courage, Calling, and Entrepreneurship. So 34 of us have come together to share our stories of taking that leap into entrepreneurship, and how that's affected our lives and the lives of those that we serve. So I'm really excited to
Yeah,
be
I'm
sharing.
excited for you for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love that. Now, confidence can grow very
Absolutely.
quietly or very loud, right, in our lives.
Yes.
Um, I so for me, I think it's very quiet, and sometimes I can be a little bit loud, but um, sometimes it's like just through everyday choices that we make, and sometimes it's through one dramatic moment, right? Like jumping off a
Hmm.
plane, right,
Hmm.
is a huge that's a huge moment, and that's
Yes.
not small, right?
Yes.
I'd
Yes.
love to know
Absolutely.
though, what's
Mhm.
one small practice or mindset that helps
Mhm.
you continue to, in your standing firm, even when you're feeling uncomfortable and maybe a little bit on the nervous side.
Okay. Uh, knowing that, I think I have to say, if I can say this here, knowing that I've been called, knowing that this is personal chefing, bringing joy to people through food, through delicious food, bringing them together around the table, knowing that my gifts and my talents that were gifted to me, that that's how I share myself with the world. And so to be able to do that it's an honor, it's a privilege. And that even if I'm nervous about, an event or about a first service, or I just kind of have to take a deep breath and know that for whatever reason, this person has been brought into my life for a reason, whether it's for a long term or short term, and I'm there to bring them joy and grace through what I prepare for them.
Yeah, and I believe you 100%, right? We are all here to do a service, right?
Mhm.
And we're all called to do that at
Mhm.
some point in our life, right?
Mhm.
Some of
Mhm.
us go
Yep.
looking for that moment, and some of us it
Mhm.
just appears for
It
us.
just
So
appeared.
yeah,
Right.
I
Right.
do believe that.
Right.
Now, if there's a woman listening today, Rebecca, and she's feeling like she's lost her voice, or
Mhm.
maybe she never believed she even had a voice or that it mattered, what would you want her to hear from you today?
I would want her to know that she has a purpose in her life, that she just needs to be open enough and brave enough to let herself acknowledge it, because every single one of us has a unique purpose, has a unique calling that only we can bring to life, and the world will be lacking if she doesn't recognize those gifts, those talents, those service that only she can bring to us and bring to the world. So, if not just for herself, but for the sake of all of us, you know, take that first brave step and say, okay, and just be open to what might
Yeah,
come.
I love that answer. Thank you for that because, sometimes we don't know it. Sometimes we
Mhm.
don't, we
No,
talk ourselves out of it, right? The itty bitty
absolutely.
bitty committee becomes
Yes.
very loud and shuts that down, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
really important to hear it from other women that
Mhm.
it's okay, right? It's
Mhm.
okay to take that step. If
Mhm.
whether it's a big leap or it's just the tiniest baby step possible, but it's
Absolutely.
okay, right?
Yes.
You will
Yes.
move that comfort zone limit just a touch.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I just read this short book called Your First Thought. And I thought it was great. I thought it was great because it really was all about how your first thought, those first thoughts, those are from God, those are from the Holy Spirit. But it's when you sit and become fearful, those second, third, fourth, fifth thoughts, the oh, what if, but this, and no, I can't because those are not.
No, that's the
Those
itty
are not
bitty bitty
heavenly.
committee. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's not what we need to be listening to. So even if it does take you 6 years, to build to step out, and sometimes it is about timing, but follow those nudges, follow
Yeah.
those first inclinations, because that's usually where you are really meant to be.
I love it. So this has been so awesome. So I didn't get to learn about cooking necessarily. Not that I need to learn more. There's always something to
There's
learn, but
always,
there's
yes,
always
yes.
something to learn. But I want to thank you so much for everything that you shared with us today, your wisdom and your heart. I can feel it that this is your passion, right? And it was a huge reminder that confidence isn't about having all the answers.
Oh
It's
gosh,
really,
no.
yeah, it's really more about trusting yourself enough to take a seat at the
Yes,
table and
yes.
use your voice with the intention. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Just
thank you
move
so
forward.
much.
hmm Thank you so much for having me on. This has been a privilege.
Yeah, thank you. If you'd like to connect with Rebecca, learn more about her personal chef services, mentoring, or her upcoming book, we'll include all her information in the show notes. And to everyone listening, thank you for spending this time with us. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love you to share this episode with a woman who needs the reminder that her voice matters. If you're finding yourself stuck in self doubt, overthinking every decision, or feeling disconnected from the confident woman you know is still there, I'd love to invite you to connect with me. Through my coaching, I help women reconnect with themselves, quiet the inner noise, and move forward with greater clarity and self-trust. You can find all the details in the show notes. Until next time, remember, confidence isn't something you wait to find. It's something that blooms each time you choose to trust yourself. I'm Tina Spoletini, and this has been Confidence in Bloom. Take care. Keep blooming.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.